Joan Smalls is calling out the fashion industry for its racism and silence in the wake of Black Lives Matter protests. And the supermodel is backing her statements by pledging to donate half of her earnings for the remainder of 2020 to racial injustice. We are pleased to be joined by Joan Smalls. Joan, great to have you with me today. So you made this possible through the launch of your site, Donate My Wage. How does that platform work?
It's kind of like a easy site to go to. I pre-selected a couple organizations, about 11, and we're going to continue working it throughout the year. And basically, you just go there, you calculate your wage, and it can be a monthly, weekly, or an hourly wage, and then you pledge to donate that. You go to whichever organization you choose, and it goes directly to them. So
That
it's pretty simple and easy. So it just comes from my idea of me donating my wage, so it continues the conversation.
Yeah, that's great that you've made it so easy there. But IMG Models has also joined you. They've pledged to donate $250,000 to organizations through this. What responsibility do you think these larger agencies, corporations, companies have in fighting racial injustices with the funds that they have versus what someone like an individual might have?
Well, I feel like the movement needs to be tangible, and a lot of the times it requires funds to do that. So in this particular case, IMG stepped up and donated $250,000, which was amazing because, they are part of the industry. They're a company I work with, so for them to like back something that I truly believe in demonstrates that they're listening to us, that they actually want to move towards the right direction. And I feel like when it comes to the fashion industry, they rely so much on Black culture that at a certain point in time, we need to hear their voices and know that they're supporting us equally.
And on that note, you actually recently called out the fashion industry in an open letter to Harper's Bazaar. You said the industry, you've called it out for its silence. You said you feed the beast of racism and exclusivity. I want to give us the inside look as to how you've been treated in the fashion industry and what some of the limitations that you've experienced might have been.
Sure. It's interesting because I know from an outsider perspective, people see my career as, a rising star. I've been in so many covers, I've done numerous runways, an enormous amount of campaigns. So in that part, I've been truly honored and I'm extremely grateful. But within those successes, there have been a lot of limitations where I know I haven't gotten booked because the brand wasn't ready to go in that direction. And a lot of the times they just figured that, I wasn't part of a demographic they wanted to market to. And a lot of the times I miss out on those opportunities. So it's kind of like, yes, in one way, in one perspective, people actually believe in me and, want to help me achieve my goal. And then on the back end, you hear all the conversations of missed opportunities. So a lot of the times, even when I work with certain brands, they have a stereotype of who is going to be in what position of, let's make sure we cover the Caucasians. Let's make sure we cover the Asians. Let's make sure we cover Blacks. Let's make sure we cover Latins. And a lot of the times it just doesn't feel as genuine. It just feels as a marketing strategy. So a lot of the times that's where that frustration comes because it's just an optic illusion. And then when you see the industry from the inside out, within those rooms, there's not that much diversity.
You mentioned some executives might say, or brand managers might say, we're not ready to move in that direction, which, it's surprising and not surprising at the same time. What do those kinds of comments kind of say about what the diversity or the makeup or lack thereof is in the higher levels of the fashion industry and brands? What have you kind of seen in terms of that representation?
Sometimes when I hear those comments, I just feel like they're so narrow-minded because when they look at their consumer base, it is mainly driven by minorities. We are the largest spending group ever, so why not be reflective of us? Like consider us when it comes to those positions So it's interesting to always hear people's opinion and not see us as equals.
We also have unfortunately seen, other than this kind of misrepresentation or lack of representation, we've also seen, blatant racism within fashion as well. We've seen really insensitive products being sold still. So given all of this context, what is your plan to kind of hold the industry accountable, to hold leadership accountable? What are your plans going forward?
So going forward, on top of, making sure that whenever I work with a brand, um, I'm gonna have the conversation with them that since I'm donating part of my wage, that I ideally want them to match that as well. So it continues the funds going, but at the same time, I believe they should just hire a more diverse staff within their group, and their creative teams should be representative and reflective of diversity. So with certain brands, I think it's about having that open dialogue where the team is not just one set of demographic, that sometimes you need a perspective from the group that you're trying to represent.
All right, Joan, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck with everything. That's Supermodel Joan Smalls. Thank you again for your time.